Well, Bryan Kohberger apparently has an alibi. Well, at least we think he does, or he tried to throw one out there a while ago, and the judge said that's not really an alibi. Just saying you were out driving alone, and nobody knows where you were, and nobody can account for it. So, okay, we are going to come back with an alibi, and they did. And the answer is he was out driving alone, and he likes to hike and run at night and see the moon and stars. And we are going to also have a cell phone tower and radio frequency expert, which I find interesting, the radio frequency expert, to partially corroborate the account. It's the same alibi, basically, but moon and stars, and they're got somebody that agreed to get paid a bunch of money to say they're an expert on this. Never mind the fact that there already is cell phone triangulation data pointing him to the house, and his phone was off in the time all this was going on. Eric Faddis, defense attorney, joining me to discuss the alibi. What the hell is going on here?
In looking at this new alibi, it's pretty non-traditional because typically with alibis, you need an alibi witness. In fact, in Colorado, when you endorse an alibi defense, you have to list the witnesses associated with that alibi. And in the vast majority of circumstances, it's not just the defendant; it's someone they were with. It's a store worker. If they visited a Walgreens, who would say, "Hey, yeah, I saw that dude in here." But here, all we have is Kohberger's kind of self-serving statement that I was driving around and looking at the moon, and then this expert who will, I guess, say, "Yeah, the cell phone towers suggest he was driving around." It's just a bit hollow when put under a microscope.
Well, and how, with his cell phone being off during the specific times of the murders, how what's that cell phone tower guy going to even bring to the table if there's nothing to read off of the data, because the data is not being inputted at that moment in time? What does he have?
It's not even evidence, it's like the absence of evidence. and
Yes.
and if I'm the prosecutor, I am grilling that defense cell phone expert on the fact that, when you turn off your cell phone, you can't track a person's location. And you've worked in the court system a lot of times, haven't you? And you're aware that sometimes a defendant will turn off their cell phone so their whereabouts can't be tracked, and that's so it can hide kind of their actions, right? And so I think they could be setting themselves up for a not so fun time at trial.
This feels like it hurts him more than it helps him. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't have to provide an alibi either. I mean, I guess that's the other question: is why keep going down that road? Wouldn't if you had an easier time just trying to I guess trying to argue the evidence of, like, well, there's so many things they could throw at that to try and create reasonable doubt. But this is just like it's another lie on top of the whole case. I mean, that's my take on it anyway. Why even do the alibi defense when you have that weak of an alibi?
It seems like I agree that they took it a little too far. Even without the alibi, the defense attorney can argue to the jury that, hey, there's not enough evidence placing my guy at the scene. No, there's no eyewitness who identifies him, that kind of thing. You can go down the road of this wasn't my dude without injecting this alibi that might be problematic for the defense.
Uh, Is it? I mean, how are they? Every state is different, obviously, and what they'll accept for an alibi defense. But how can that be a defense when there is no one there to truly give an alibi? I mean,
Well,
that's the problem with this.
Exactly right. I mean, usually, like a traditional alibi would be if I was accused of murder and I was at home with my wife. My wife would be an alibi witness, and she
Yes.
would say, "Hey, Eric was with me. He didn't do this." And Koberger has no such witness, and so how is he even going to get this evidence in front of the jury? The only way that's coming to mind presently is for him to testify that he was out doing this. The defense attorney can't just get up there and out of whole cloth fabricate some story that their client was driving around. That has to be supported by some kind of evidence through a witness. And I just don't think they have it.
Well, and another aspect of it too, and I'm sure be presented in trial. I mean, just kind of his personality, what we've already known about that. It just the antisocialness of his personality, the way that he's turned off so many people in so many ways. And then you have the creepy guy basically driving around at night by himself. That in itself is weird. I mean, it doesn't play well in any stretch of the imagination. Is Ann Taylor just like kind of at a like a cliff here of like, I got to do something? And is there a bigger strategy to this? I don't know. She seems to be a fairly effective defense attorney thus far for the shit that she's been dealt, but I don't know. I can't imagine what she's trying to do here.
I feel you. You know, ostensibly on the surface, it's kind of a bad look. But I'm wondering if defense is going to spin this in their favor. And they're going to say, hey, I represent a social pariah. I represent a scapegoat. I represent a person who's an outcast, who's antisocial, who society has sort of casted out and just placed blame on and said, oh, let's call it good and just condemn this person. He is a little weird. He is a little erratic, and he does drive around at night and watch the moon, but that's not a crime. And I'm wondering if defense is going to sort of play it like that.
Be very interesting if that's the direction that they go with this. I don't know. I'm at a loss here. When I was expecting to see something, but literally the stars and the moon and a radio frequency expert.
Well,
Yeah.
you can't call the stars and the moon as witnesses, so I think you got a problem.
Well, they may try. They may try. Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to follow us wherever you download podcasts, and especially Apple Podcasts, where you can get advanced episode and premium content on our premium channel right there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media so you don't miss any breaking updates on the stories that matter to you most. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. Just search Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Brueski, and you'll find us right there. Again, thanks for watching.